This
Yeah.
conference will now be recorded.
Well, it's great to get together with the ACS team. I've known you guys for well over a decade and worked many opportunities with you over the years. So we're excited to introduce CORO's cybersecurity products to you. Um, as a channel manager, I brought two of the top people from our firm with me. Forrest Nipple, who is the vice president of sales for the western half of the United States, and Joe Apuzzo, who is everything technical, and he's one of our senior leaders from a technical talk track as well. And the great thing for you and your entire organization is you'll have access to these people and many more individually, and as well as your agents who are talking to their end users. We're on calls with the end users all the time. At this point, I'll turn it over to Forrest. He'll share a little bit about CORO with y'all, and enjoy the show.
The show. Well, hey, pleasure to meet all of you. So Forrest Knipple, I'm the Vice President of Channel for the Western U.S. Really what I wanted to cover with you today is going to be an overview of what we're doing, who we are, because quite frankly, there's a lot of players out there in the cybersecurity world. We're very aware of that. Not everybody's aware of who CORO is yet, but you will become very aware of us pretty quickly as we continue to grow in leaps and bounds. So I want to at least share with you why that is. Why are we having some of the success, and what we've actually done even very recently as a couple of weeks ago as an organization to kind of change the game plan or the playing field for you as you go to talk to your agents and your agents talk to their end customers. The first piece I want to talk about with that is with CORO, we moved towards this modular cybersecurity. And what that means is, and I'll cover it in greater detail here in a moment, but what that means is that rather than going out with this one-size-fits-all type of solution or an individual point solution that only covers one aspect of a very large landscape that is cybersecurity, we are putting together a solution or a platform, if you will, that has multiple point solutions that identify and work through the challenges inside of several different areas of security for your end customer. The big challenge of doing that in the past for any organization was the fact that you had to put multiple point solutions out in place to be able to assist a customer. And each one of those would have its own agent or its own upload, its API, and so on and so forth. Nobody thought about it in a way of just building a singular platform and then providing the modular ability for your end user to turn items on and off based on what is unique to their organization. So I'll explain that in here in just a moment. But first, I like to joke about what the very easy to remember cybersecurity landscape looks like. We've probably seen different versions of this slide. There's over 4,000 different cybersecurity solutions out there, and if you blink, there's probably another one. And that becomes incredibly complex to navigate for you, for your agents, for your agents' customers, because unless they understand where to start the conversation, how are they ever going to dig through all the different pieces of this? Well, what I'll tell you is that for years, there has been third-party groups like IDG and so on that have done the studies on this and can prove out over and over again that there are a couple different landscapes or domains, I should say, where you're going to be attacked. Not if, but how bad. And we know for sure that the attacks are coming, not only here, but mainly, if you want to narrow down the top 80+% of attacks, they come through some sort of email. Not a shocker. We've all had phishing emails. They're going to attack your endpoints, so your laptops, your servers, and so on. Again, no shocker there. Cloud applications. And if you think about cloud applications and the way that we've all moved towards versions of paid Google, Microsoft Office 365, OneDrive, Google Workspaces, Slack, Box, Dropbox, all these different repositories for information, it makes sense that that's another attack vector that you're getting hit on all the time. And then the fourth most common piece is actually on your user data, which is a much broader topic than an individual domain. but it falls under what you're seeing out there in the landscape in regards to compliance. I'm sure that nobody's ever heard that there's a need for additional compliance and regulations around security. Yeah, well, that comes down to a lot of user behavior. So we took a look at that and said, okay, well, if we know this is where you're going to be attacked, then that's where we need to go and build a solution around all these different avenues, and then all the complementary pieces that go with it as well. But before I get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about why you should be partnering with CORO. I will tell you right now that cybersecurity is an area that is a gift that keeps giving. There is never, it's like an onion. There are so many different layers of cybersecurity that you can continue to be able to put in there. There's no such thing as too much cybersecurity. Your customers are always finding new ways that they are going to have avenues of being attacked. And so even though we are a good starting point for you to be able to come into your customer's environment and understand what's going on and protect them across multiple areas, it is most definitely not the end point, as if that makes sense to you. The other big thing I'd tell you for you and your partners, we have a very, very high closing ratio. Our sales process and the way that we go about this is we actually provide trials with a proof of value to your customer. So we'll put our actual solution in their environment and capture data to share with them how and what and how much and where we're capturing these potential security risks, so that they're seeing the real value of what the solution is doing for them before they ever make a purchasing decision. That said, they're making a purchasing decision because they can see that it's already helping them out. From a team standpoint, we do quotes very, very quickly. Our trials, as I mentioned, we are doing these free trials as a proof of value for you, for your customers. And another big thing on here, our installation is literally minutes. You know, this is not the days of telco where you order a fiber line and it takes 6 months to try to get that thing in here. What we're doing to implement our service is literally downloading an agent if they're doing anything around endpoint, or even easier than that, if they're doing stuff with email and cloud applications, it's an API grab. So as long as they have, again, a Google Workspace, a Microsoft Office 365 global admin rights, they can give us or enter in for themselves those global admin passwords and so on, and this will be up and running inside of 5 minutes. So that makes a big, big, big difference in how easy it is for them to come into the test portion of this to prove out the overall value. I'll also let you know that on the back end of this, what we're doing from a channel support standpoint is pretty significant. Obviously, you've already met Vern. Many of you have probably worked with him in the past as a point of contact directly for your organization. Beyond him, we have an entire channel engineering team that's available to us to make sure that we have the technical aptitude to come onto calls, be able to provide credibility in the conversations you're having, make sure that you're not out there trying to guess what the next acronym is that they're throwing across the table at you. Also, we have our customer success side of the house. We know very, very well that the sale does not stop at signature. In fact, that's generally a starting point. When you get that signature, you need to make sure that everything is going in and being implemented correctly, that billing is happening correctly, that you look good after the sale. And we have an entire team dedicated to that. We also put together partner enablement managers, which is a part of that implementation process that helps your customer get into our mix. Marketing support, business development reps. This is another big one. I'll put a little asterisk to say there are some qualifications for this, but as your customers or your agents want to go out and run a campaign and have additional bodies to be able to help call unqualified leads and set actual appointments for them around cybersecurity, we have that resource. We are using that resource right now with great success for the partners that are already engaged with us. So I definitely want to have a follow-up conversation that shows you how to take advantage of that yourself. All right, some of the obligatory slides that show you that we're a real company. It is, again, important for our customers to know that they are in good hands, and for you to know that they're in good hands. Everybody's familiar with G2 probably at this point. These are your end customers that are actually layering in the information about how well you're doing as a company. We get every award every single time. It is just very, very consistent in regards to, again, our implementation is super easy. The platform is very easy to use as well. You can see where we're also doing well in regards to how we're testing out. It is I'm going to give you a dirty secret about point solutions in cybersecurity in general. A lot of it is commoditized. And I'll say that easily because it's not a matter of us trying to go capture the same bad stuff or the same malware and same, instances that are coming in here. It is that we all have to go through the same certifications. We're all going to MITRE and C Lab or SE Labs and VB800, et cetera. These are where we have table stakes in the game, but as early as just a month or so ago, we're getting 100% capture rates. So these are the AA plus ratings from the groups that say that, yes, they can do it. Yes, they do it very well. We're getting perfect scores. So you're in good hands that way. So what do we do? And then I'm going to very quickly pivot from this in regards to what you're running into. Part of our sales process with you, without getting deep into this slide, is to help your agents understand how to have the conversation to their end user, to explain to them where we can help them become a business enabler within the organization instead of just a cost. This is an entire talk track that we will have with you, with your partners, to make sure they understand how to translate this into a meaningful conversation to the directors of IT and everybody else they're working with at the end user level. What we're doing, and I promise you there is an actual picture and some demo of the actual account here in a moment, is that here are the three things I'd have you want to remember. First piece is we're trying to do a single actionable dashboard. Now, having the single pane of glass is almost like a bingo card nowadays. Everybody's got a single pane of glass, and then you have multiple panes of glass and whatever else. But where this comes into play is that unless they're using some sort of MSP or another tool to be able to aggregate the information from multiple point solutions they're using to secure their environment, they are managing across multiple platforms. They are having to integrate different solutions. Because we have so much of this inside of our own IP and the way that we deliver, you're getting away from that. We are minimizing the effort to be able to protect your environment. The next piece of this, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is a single or one endpoint agent. If you think about putting multiple solutions in place and they all have their own agent, can you guess that they don't always play nice together? So the more complexity that I'm adding to my environment by adding an agent for this, an agent for that, an agent for that, you're hoping that, frankly, they play nice together. With us being able to put a single agent out there and then continue to build on the platform, that modular idea, we're already taking that potential challenge out of the mix. As we continue to evolve and add on to our overall product, it will still run the same agent that they downloaded one time or pushed out to their different endpoints. And of course, the same data engine that falls in play with the same concept. We're trying to make this very easy so that they can download and or connect into an API one time and make sure that it is there's continuity in the way that we're providing the service, regardless of how we continue to build and update and fill in additional pieces to the security landscape. So this is what's in our platform today that we will continue to build onto. I want to have you look at 4 different categories. As I mentioned earlier, we mentioned that email is probably the #1 area that folks are going to be attacked into. Now, we cover a lot more than just the 4 little bullets on here, which I'll show you. But at the high level, we are doing email phishing. We are doing data governance around email. We have an ability of doing email proxy, although there are some advantages to doing that as an API as well. So we have either option for you. When we get into endpoint, we're certainly talking about EDR. That is a buzzword that if you are not familiar with, we can certainly cover it another time. But the ability to cover all the endpoints, to be able to do quarantine and encryption and all the other good things is in our wheelhouse. Data governance. So I talked earlier about the user behavior, and one of the 4 areas that people try to go after, let's call it medical records, or they're trying to attack PCI, PHI, PII. These are all these acronyms that you're going to hear out there. That typically falls under data governance. You might even hear words like DLP. It's an acronym jungle out there. Let us help you navigate it. You'll be fine. But we have a pretty robust platform allowing us to look at triggers that would warn your customer against both ingestion and exportation of information that is not supposed to be happening for various reasons, because of the type of record it is, because of the volume of it, the individual that is trying to handle that information. We have that ability for you. And then SASE, if this is a newer arena that people are starting to take a look at the network piece of what you're doing from security, we have that ability of doing next generation, firewalls, being able to do cloud application access and VPNs and such through our actual SASE platform. So now we're going to get into the look for it. And Joe, if you want to key up one of the CORO background demos, I'm going to kick this over to you in just a moment after I talk about this. So this is what your general platform is going to look like. This is your front page where your admin or your user is going to come in here. And you can see very simply on the left-hand side, it shows you any open tickets. If I click into one of those, it's going to take me to the details of that ticket to be able to share how we are actually taking care of that. Now, something that's important for you to understand, or for your customers to understand, is we are basically an autopilot in the way that we're doing a lot of the security, with the ability to co-pilot. You're going to find folks that want to be very involved, and you're going to have a lot more folks that are probably wanting to just make sure that it works in the background and bother me only if I have to. We can play in both of those environments. We will continue to build out modules. So when, again, we get into an individual customer, they may already have an email solution. They may already have an endpoint solution. So it is possible that they're looking at this and saying, I don't really need that portion of it, but yeah, I really need data governance. Yeah, I really need to do something around my cloud security or my cloud applications. We will be able to put this in there. Again, it's a one-time implementation, to have those turned on and basically gray out the boxes of the items they're not using. Now, a later date, a contract comes up, they're unhappy with whatever their other solutions are, they want to consolidate the number of tools they're using, boom, I click the radio button. It's a little easier, a little more than that, but you click the radio button for us to be able to turn on that module. It's already up and running, already collecting data, already able to provide them with that security. So very briefly, ideal customer profile. Then I'm going to stop sharing and jump over to Joe to share this. So we talk about company size. I want you guys to get a little bit away from the company size and probably think a lot more about the department that is supporting that company. Now, if I look at all of our customers, we have had a fantastic run of customers that are in that 50 to 500. So I'll just say that's an easy bullseye, because they almost always fall into this lean IT shop, where you have very few people who probably are not a true CISO that are trying to make sure they're covering this landscape for folks. We also do incredibly well because of the platform inside of the EDU and healthcare, distributed healthcare space. So we do have case studies and so on that we'll be able to share with you when we get into that. The other piece I'd tell you from an environment standpoint, again, coming back to the API portion of what we can do, try to find those folks that have a Microsoft Office 365 or a paid Google Workspace for the domain. Those are easy targets for us. Now with that, I'm going to stop sharing and pass it over to Joe here so that he can bring up our demo.
All right. Hang on, team. Let me go ahead. And let me know if you guys can see my screen.
We got you, Joe.
Looks good.
Great. Well, I know we only have a few minutes left. I really want to give you guys just kind of a broad overview of really everything Forrest was talking about. The main points really that resonate with our customers, and what I always like to call the lean IT team, is efficiency. We want to take things off their plate, not put more things on. Too many of the solutions, like Forrest was talking about, you're stacking a cloud app, email, endpoint. These are different browsers, different windows, different dashboards. That's time. Each of those could take up to an hour to resolve an issue. Whereas now with CORO, we're giving you one place to deal with everything. Automation is really the cornerstone of what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that if there is an issue that you need to come into the CORO action board to resolve, it's something that does need your attention. All right, maybe potential malware, maybe a potential spread, maybe someone logging in from a location they shouldn't be, an email that our AI maybe isn't 100% on that we want your eyes on. Maybe it's something that an end user has a mark that they want to take a look at. Data governance. it's always, you need to understand what data is being sent out and why. And you're being the admin, you're going to better understand that. To Fars's earlier point, we are going to present all of this in a very, very detailed way that you can understand very quick. When we're talking about data governance, you're going to see what you need to take care of. When we're talking about our endpoint, our next gen antivirus or our EDR, you're going to come in here very easily be able to see what the threat was, who it affected, what was done. CORO automatically detected and quarantined the threat. Nothing that needs to be done. Awesome. I get to move on. When we're talking, and this is something that me being the tech guy, I always key in on, which is one endpoint agent. You're going to see a huge amount of adherence and just acceptance to version control, not needing to have multiple endpoint agents for your antivirus, for your EDR, for your VPN, for your DNS content filtering. These are all encapsulated in a single endpoint agent. There's no worry about conflicts. We handle all that. Whenever you need to do a demo, my team's resources, they're available to you. So don't think that you guys are going to be on your own. We're always going to be there to help you, to walk you through. But you can kind of see, and essentially from some of the resources that we're going to give you, it is very simple. We want to go ahead and simplify security. I tell the joke all the time when people kind of come up to us and say, is this it? And I say, what else do you need? We're addressing your threats, we're taking care of them, and we're presenting them in a very simple and easy to use way. We're telling you one of your users was potentially compromised. Why? Well, we're seeing them log in from, I couldn't even pronounce that word if I tried, but it's from that specific island. Now you're going to be able to see, is that person really there? Yes, no. You go, now you have the information to make a decision. All right, let's suspend that user so that we can then take the necessary actions. And I keep saying this, but to echo Forrest, our SOC team or any of our managed services are going to be along for the ride there. If you do need any support, we're going to be here for you, whether it's taking those actions for you, giving you that insight, or just helping you to implement a tricky deployment. We're always here for you. And I know with about 4 minutes left, I'll go ahead and stop.
So I'll just jump back in for a moment. So now we start thinking about, okay, well, that's great. How are you guys priced? I will tell you that we have not lost a deal based on price because we're so well competitively positioned. We've done quite a bit of homework to be able to put together pricing plans that are based on a combination of either an individual module. So if we want to go head to head on an individual module with whatever they have in place, or to just layer on top of what they currently have, we can do that. Or we can look at a bundle of these. So for instance, email may have 3 or 4 different modules that make up that email suite to have a very robust solution. We're able to do both of those. MSRP on these, just to give you an idea, a typical module is only running $3 per user or device per month. A typical bundle, which may have 4, 5, 6 different modules in it, is $6 a month per user or device, depending on what we're looking at there. These aren't things you need to memorize. We're going to be very easily using our quoting tools and so on to be able to help you identify what the overall solution is, nail down with the customer what is the best fit, whether it be a combination of modules and bundles or whatever that may be, and be able to turn that around for you very quickly. So,
and just one last piece, just to echo there. You're becoming a consultant with this. That is really what you're able to do with the CORO solution, that you build a custom cybersecurity plan for your customers. And it is that right there, you're not that all-in-one trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. You are actually coming and you are solving their needs now and in the future. And if you stick with that talk track, guys, you're really not going to lose.
Right. Sir, do we have a little time for questions? I don't know if we want to do some Q&A.